Alrighty, Saguli Swagwag, Brandon Doxtator, Nguyen Gits, Ogwali Ni Wagi Delode, Onyet Daag, Nuyo Hunjok, Wagasanunit. So I just wanted to say hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Doxtator. I'm Bear Clan member from Oneida Nation of the Thames here. And Wagasanunit, or welcome to this awesome little show that we're doing here, where we're going to be learning what makes Oneida tick and what makes Oneida talk. So I'm here today with two amazing guests on our first rendition here, and we're going to be talking about the environment and related issues, indigenous conservation and resiliency. So I would like to introduce our guests here, Jenelle Cornelius and Glen McDougall. So Jenelle, would you kind of like to introduce yourself a little bit and the role?
My name is Jenelle Cornelius. I am the community energy champion here in Oneida Nation of the Thames. I've been helping oversee the energy projects we have going on in the community, and I'm also involved in environmental.
Nice, and thank you for that. And Glen, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm from the 13 Moons Cultural Learning, Land-Based Learning Camp, and we've been working now for 20 years at doing this, and this is our first full year. Usually it's just a winter hunting camp, and then expanded to fishing camp, then we expanded into so on, and now we're doing the whole full 13 moon cycle, so that's what, and the environment plays a big part of this here.
Right, awesome. So I guess first question, Jenelle, tell us a little bit about the solar panels in the community, how many systems we have, and where would one find the systems?
We have a ground mount microgrid system that is 476 kilowatts. At the community center, we have a carport and also roof mount solar panels, which bring about another 200 kilowatts. We have 4 microfit systems, all 10 kilowatts each. One at the fire hall, the daycare, the healing lodge, and Community center.
Yeah. I was like, where's that other one? It's always tricky, but it's because there's two systems.
There's 2 systems there, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. And so what are they doing? Like, are they generating income or savings, or what's happening with them?
The ground mount site is generating energy for the seniors complex, the health and education, Standing Stone School. It is helping save costs on energy. And the community center has its own system there, which is helping them save money on their expenses.
Nice. And then the other systems are generating revenue, right?
The microfit systems are generating.
I think it's 33 cents on a kilowatt, so it's pretty good. Yeah. All right, Glen. So, how many? So you work with youth, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So how? Tell me about the process. Like, when the youth come in, what is one of the first things they do? And
well, typical day is that we start with a busing, we do the opening, and we do a teaching, and then depending on what the moon cycle is, then we'll follow that moon cycle. There's certain times of even the month that you should be learning new things, and there's certain times of the month where you're just reviewing things. And then environmentally speaking, we usually did our storytelling during the winter time when there was snow on the ground, and there's a reason for that too. But last season there was hardly no snow, so we got, it's really beautiful. We on average we probably have about 150 kids come through our system a week.
Amazing.
So they're learning hands-on, like even today it's raining outside and we got the youth outside. They're still working in the rain because our people never stop.
Right.
It's important to do what we're supposed to do.
So so what are some of the things that they're learning?
Basic skills, depending on the age group. We have a lot of older youth that have taken the initiative to learning how to hunt. And some of them are even, from when we first started, there were some that were still in their diapers, and now they're out there learning to hunt.
Nice.
And they do protocol, learning how to handle weapons and things for hunting. They also do what they call, they kind of gather all the animals towards them, and there'll be a primary hunter waiting for the deer to come. And then once that deer is presented itself, we process it, and then the first thing that we do is offer the meat to our elders, and then so the kids are learning how to take that role and responsibility of taking care of each other,
Right,
like our community.
Right, taking care of each other and also taking care of the land, right? Yeah. I remember in some of the conversations we had, you were talking about the small game. And like how the youth noticed that there was contamination in them.
Yeah, unfortunately, because one of the first process before you go deer hunting is you have to learn how to hunt the small game. And the youth that were doing that discovered that the very first time they opened up the rabbit and then went to skin it and everything, they came to me and said, "Hey, look at this," and there were cysts all over the rabbit. And they asked if we could eat that. And I said, "No, we better not." And they found a couple others, and on their own initiative, they went to find out why is that going on. Right. So they searched the internet, and they found out that there's a certain chemicals that cause that in the rabbits. And we have a dump that's pretty close to our nation here. So, and rabbits travel, and we figure that's how what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So Jenelle, tell me a little bit about what's the next projects for the renewable energy sector in Oneida? What do you think? What are you currently working on?
Currently, we are working on updating our community energy plan. We are also looking into hopefully getting a battery storage system here for the solar panels, and hopefully grow that microgrid bigger and have a storage system here so we can be like self-sustainable as a community and not have to rely on Hydro One or anybody else outside the community. But that's like in the far future.
Right. Next question. I guess let's go talking about like the environment. Like Glen, how has climate change over the years impacted your life?
Oh, it's just undescribable. We look at our traditional ceremonies when we're doing planting, or we're doing even the past weekend we did strawberry. It's all out of sync. The strawberries are either late or early, or everything is just based on an environment. And when we're looking at, if you ever took the time to go into the wild woods and look at the trees, there's a phenomenal amount of them dying from the pollution, from invasive insects. The white ash is a perfect example. Like this, you go in the woods and there's probably about 1,000 trees that are falling down because of that invasive species. And the environmental aspects of that is that tree is no longer giving us fresh oxygen, and that causes all kinds of ripple effects. It's like people not caring about that one drop of water, but that one drop of water could affect everything. It could just spill over and make all kinds of life happen, or else it could just dry up and go away. And that's what's happening in the environmental. We're so tied into the system, the cow, the pig, the chicken, that we don't realize that our food is lacking in nutrition. And again, that's environmental. Our animals, why we're trying to teach our youth about the animals is because they're eating our broad section of food, so the meat that's in that is a lot more stronger. And there's over 100 minerals in the ground that the trees, the earth, and everything comes up into the plants, and those animals eat that. And that's what's in that meat, and we're eating it, and it keeps us healthy. So the environmental effect that we're eating cow, pigs, and chicken, where they're only getting 2 or 3 nutritions from the earth, because we're force feeding them. We're force feeding the plants. The fields, there's lots of fields out there, but you look over and over, each year there's corn in the same field, and there's beans in the same field, because they're trying to raise the cows. They're trying to raise the cows. And then now we're only getting a few nutrition in the cows. And then our communities are suffering from diabetes and cancer because there's not enough ammunition in our body. That's what that minerals is, ammunition to fight off all that sickness.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what you get from eating off the land, right?
Yeah. Like, you have to believe it. You have to try it to believe it, because people that come are like, they're like crouched over like this here, basically. And when they start eating the wild game, and we eat wild plants, next thing you know, you see them up here like this, and they're straightening right up. And all of a sudden their diet becomes stronger, and they become stronger, and they start to think better. Because it affects everything. It's not something, you see the kids slush over at school, almost falling asleep. It's not because they're tired or being neglected. It's because we don't have the energy to maintain that. Where you eat a little chunk of wild food, you're good.
And then you learn, Then it brings it out, right? Yeah. And climate change is impacting
severely.
That whole cycle, right? What about you, Jenelle? How has climate change impacted you or in your family?
Mainly I see from when I was younger is the season change. Spring, definitely, we really don't even have a spring anymore, it seems like. It seems like we have like maybe 2 or 3 days of spring where it rains, and then all of a sudden it's 30-degree weather. And our summer seems to go a little bit longer into October. Directly, I live in London, so I don't do a lot of the land-based things or traditional, but I do. I go out fishing, and like I see sick fish. You see the rabbits. There's the fish with the spots on them, and seen turtles with the hooks in them and different stuff like that. And some of the fishing spots are so low in the summer now that it's like I might as well just go out there and grab them with my hand. But in the winter, it snows, but it doesn't snow like it used to snow when I was a kid, and I even have my mom telling me that, we always thought it was a joke. Oh, we used to walk in 7-foot-high snow to school, but they were talking about when it was plowed, 7-foot-high snowbanks. We don't get that 7-foot-high snowbanks around here anymore at all, so, it's just little by little, and more of the traditional people who, do the growing and all the planting and, the harvesting and all that would know more than I would, because, it goes by the seasons. And so myself, I just, what has really affected me, I guess, is mainly just the season change. But with that, climate change, there's a lot of other things that, affect overall, our community, I know our water system is changing, but for the most part, like every summer we have a, conserve water because we get our water from the aquifer that's, replenished by the Thames River. And if the Thames River isn't, high or, it's not replenishing that. So that's one thing that really, hinders our community. But not only that, it's the chemical runoff from all the farms along the Thames River, golf courses. A lot of the golf courses are allowed to take water from the Thames River to water their,
Right. Their green
grass,
grass. Yeah.
And then, so that affects our aquifer. It's not being filled and replenished like it should be.
Yeah. I was just thinking when you said that, like, in December of 2022, we had the emergency in our community, and it was directly related to the water, right? And a low amount of water, and that's related to climate change and precipitation, right? Yeah. That aquifer within the studies said that it was supposed to have, let's say, a certain amount of shelf life, right? 25 plus years, but we're maybe only 10, 15 years into that, and it's already, being depleted on a yearly basis. Plus, part of the thing is collapsed, but lack of precipitation, climate change has a major impact on that, right? Yeah. So I guess I got two more questions for you. Maybe we'll go into what are some of the other success stories out there that you've heard of that either you think that like as Indigenous people, like what's going on out there that you're proud of, that you've heard of, or think that was really cool? Maybe we'll start.
I think one of the things that I'm really happy to hear is like the one program that you have where you're getting the community to plant natural trees back. Yeah. Because that's the whole environmental right there. People don't realize to me, I have this internal thing where, and I know I get in trouble over this, but people always want to get rid of the plastic. Well, that's a great thing, but the big thing is what are they replacing it with? Paper. Right. And where does paper come from? They're chopping trees down. Right. And that's the environmental right there. And you chop the trees down, you got no more oxygen, you got no more rain, you got no more. It's just a big cycle there. And why are we chopping trees down to make paper so we can chop? And you and other communities that's out there that's replanting natural trees that should be here. That's a big bonus right there. It's a big bonus there. And then with the children, youth, and the older youth, they're learning that, especially when they're out there hunting, that all these things are missing. So now they're taking the initiative. It's like getting a haircut. They go out there, they clean the earth sometimes, and what happens is that new growth comes up, and that's naturally what's supposed to happen because we don't have the same amount of animals out there. Like the deers, they are getting scarce and people don't notice it, but the deers would graze, right. And then all of a sudden you get new growth coming up. Yeah. But what they're doing now is they're going to the farmers' fields eating corn because they don't have to graze now. It's right there. So all the bushlands is being ignored. So the children are now going out there cleaning up the debris, and then like when we did the fish camp, they cleaned that right up. And then last season they did that, and this season they came back, and there was all kinds of deer there.
Oh, okay.
Because everything's renewed, and the grass, trees are starting to grow, everything's starting to grow. So it's doing what it's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. So we kind of have to assume the responsibility of maybe the deer and go out there and help clean up the woods. Mm-hmm.
A lot to say about that.
Yeah. So that's my point of view.
Right. That's awesome. Jenelle, I guess I forgot the question. I forgot what we were questioning, but maybe speak about, I guess, like what's in the environment. What is the vision in the future? What do you want to see happen? You know.
Environmentally for Oneida, I mean, it's already in the works, but number one on my list is, getting water back to our people, living in third world conditions in first world country still, But for the most part, I would like to get projects on the go of, bringing back that wildflowers, the trees, the natural, even possibly some of these animals that haven't been in our area for a while. A couple of years ago, I saw a quail down by the river, and I was told that they haven't been here in like 10 something plus years.
I drove by down the road the other day, or last year too, and I saw one of those things like, what the heck is that?
Yeah, I know. I had to like take a picture of it and then look up quail and be like, oh yeah, that is one, and it was like actually exciting to see. But yeah, and another thing I would like to do is get the youth more involved, We have started some baseline training for the water and the soil here in the community, to get the kids on board of knowing what's in their community, what they should be doing to take care of their community, what our environmental issues are, and just one out of maybe 10 kids, getting them interested in the environment is a success in our community, But it's a lot different now because we have all these social media, the video games, we have all this stuff, and the kids would rather, play those video games than, most of them. Like, I know you said you have kids that, love the fishing and everything, but a lot of them, it's hard to take them out, and if we could get programs going where it's just like fun and hanging out, but you're actually learning something and you're not really like understanding that you're out there to learn, you're just more like having fun, then maybe that'll bring the kids back outside, and get them to, I guess, have that passion again of being, the caretaker of this land. And
Yeah. So I guess to wrap things up, I'll leave you with a little fact here and just get your opinion or your thoughts on that. So prior to colonization, this land here, the Carolinian zone, which extends from Windsor up into Toronto, had about 80% biodiversity, the forests, wetlands, all those kinds of things. A healthy habitat study done in 2015 found that land base, the same land base, had been reduced to 11% forest cover. Crazy, right? And to have a healthy habitat in this region, the Carolinian region, which is actually, so it's 0.25% of Canada's landmass, but holds 25% of the population of Canada, and is the most biodiverse region in Canada with over 800 species of birds, fish, and other wildlife. So 30% is the target to get back to a healthy habitat in this region. What do you think about that? And is that
I think
is that achievable?
I think it's all achievable, but you got to have people with a heart. We can't be saying let's build apartments in the green zone, because the people need apartments. Well, there's lots of room that's already available to make apartments. Or we don't need housing development to go into the green zones and then just because I want to make money, because it's a $1 million house now. But you have to have people that have heart, who can really stand up to greed, I guess, is the big thing, and like everybody's worried about the environment, but nobody's doing nothing about it. And what I mean by that is, yeah, there's people picking up garbage, people doing it, but how many people are planting trees? How many people are out there doing like the natural plants that she talked about? How many people, like at 13 Moons, we've raised quail and we've released them because there's a good chance they're going to survive and continue on. There's stories of people redoing a forest by reintroducing squirrels. I mean, everybody says, well, it's a squirrel. But the squirrel, he knows, he stores his food and he forgets where he stores it. Also, now there's a tree growing there. Those birds, they eat seeds and they don't have a really super digestive system. So when they do their number 2 business, there's a seed with fertilizer in it. Now that plant grows, and so everything is all tied together. And if we don't really start to look at that as that way, then it's not going to, like everybody said, what about the water? Well, yeah, the water is there. And the reason why the water is getting polluted is because we allow the farmers to farm right down to the river's edge. There's no green zone there. We need the green zone so that the filter, so that all that stuff gets stopped before it goes in the water. The water is turning brown because the earth is being washed into the water and it's into the lake, and the lakes are filling up even. Lake Erie renews itself every 3 days, I heard, because it's getting shallower and shallower, that the water's just not going to be there. And we have to think, like you mentioned, like our philosophy is 7 generations rather. How do we take care of that? And that's why 13 Moons is so passionate about what we're doing, because if we don't start at the ground, where are we going to go? Because if I lived in apartment buildings, I can make a little planter's bed, I can put my food there and it takes care of me maybe. But what about the rest of the people? What about the animals? And that's the bottom line. What about the animals? And nobody's really thinking that far ahead. The environmentalists, like you mentioned, they do the percentage and all these things, but the climate will get less hot if you plant more trees.
Yeah.
It just doesn't take a brain to walk from when you out in the field and you walk into the woods, there's like a 15-degree drop in temperature.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Let's get the trees growing. Let's get the wild plant, because that tree not only needs the tree, but that tree also attracts. Because when we do our medicines, we know a certain tree has a certain plant that will grow underneath it. A walnut tree, when it drops its leaves, has certain chemicals that make that ground a certain way.
Right.
So only certain plants can grow in that. The elm tree, all these different trees, all these diversities. And the plants that grow with that, they coexist. You take one out of that picture and everything else goes out. So that's a whole way. We got to look at everything. Got to look at everything, but it's achievable. I think. But we need the heart.
We need the heart.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Glen.
Yeah.
And thank you, Jenelle. I really appreciate you guys both coming on to speak to us about this, and really hope you guys have good success in everything you guys are doing, because all the work you guys are doing is amazing. So Yawanko, and thank you. Yes. All right.